Hello, everyone. Welcome to a brand new episode of the Sports Insight with your host, Alamdar Khan. And as you all know, we basically talk about sports from all across the globe. You guys can surely reach us through our social media handles, which is at the rate of Indus News Sports. That is both for Twitter and Instagram. But not to forget that, we're definitely talking about cricket, but not only cricket, there's so much happening all across the globe. So we're trying our level best to give you the right information. But, anyways, what we'll do is we'll go to the headlines first. Yes, head coach Misbah-ul Haq actually asks Pakistan cricket team to be vigilant with regards to the second test that's coming very soon. Yes, Southampton's transfer news. Takumi Minamino signs a deal from Liverpool on loan. Yes, from the world of Australian Open, Serena Williams cruises past Gavrilova. We'll talk about that. Yes, from the world of golf, Farmer Insurance Open, Patrick Reed completes dominant 5-stroke victory at Torrey Pines. And yes, those were the headlines, everybody. And as discussed, Pakistan versus South Africa, the second test, which is going to be in Rawalpindi. The practice session is still underway, and we'll definitely be looking at the second test because it's going to be an interesting situation for Pakistan. Once they decided to, and they came up to a point of winning that first test, are they ready for the second? As Misbah-ul Haq already said in his press conference lately that Pakistan has to be super vigilant to ensure that they put in their best. To discuss all of the sports perspective, I have sports analyst with me, Dr. Asjad, all the way from the UK. Sir, thank you for joining us, sir.
Thank you for inviting me.
Perfect. Sir, with regards to how Pakistan managed to come where they are right now, we've already had your wisdom before, and we've discussed how Pakistan cricket team needs to evolve with all the PCB elements because you have had experience with the PCB as well. Not only that, things have kind of moved in the right direction for us. So we'll just start with the first day of the first test. Obviously, Misbah right now has definitely said that Pakistan has to be super vigilant with regards to the upcoming second test. So how do you see that? How do they intend to do it? Because obviously the pitch condition, the situation in Rawalpindi is comparatively different than Karachi. So how do you see us heading in the direction or the right direction with regards to us as a team?
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised that we decided to have a test match against a team like South Africa in Rawalpindi. Rawalpindi, I've played a lot of cricket in Rawalpindi myself because I'm from there. The pitches, you can have a fairly bouncy pitch in Rawalpindi at times. So it has got a bit of pace in it as opposed to Karachi, which is like a absolute paradise for spinners. So South African bowling attack, particularly Rabada, they can be a bit dangerous. But I think the most dangerous bowler in the second test match once again will be Yasir Shah because good quality leg spin with a bit of bounce on the pitch can be very, very difficult to negotiate. I think the thing that I'm really interested in watching or what I'm anticipating is the battle between Keshav Maharaj and Babar Azam. Keshav got him out twice in the Karachi test and almost in the similar style where Babar just misread the line and got struck on the pad. So that's a bit concerning because if a left arm off spinner keeps getting him out, it'll be a very Kevin Peterson kind of a situation where a very good batsman just can't handle one type of bowling. So I'm really looking forward to Babar scoring a good century or a huge number of runs in Rawalpindi. And that'll make me feel a lot better after the second test if he scores.
So you're basically looking at the entire perspective with regards to the team itself. It was something that we were told lately. Obviously, we were initiating with more on the spinning side, but as you said, there's more pace to it. Is Pakistan going to have a strategy where they have more of the pace bowlers or more of the spinners? Because initially it was a different strategy. What strategy is the winning strategy for any team that they decide to keep the right kind of balance in the bowlers?
It's a very hard one for Pakistan to make because the thing is, I can't see Yasir Shah being dropped. Rawalpindi's pitch is very, very good for leg spinners. So Yasir has to play. Now, how do you get Numan out of the team when he's just taken a fiver in his debut? That's a very difficult decision to make. That's like punishing someone for
Right.
doing a very good job in the first test.
Right.
I think the only person whose place is in a bit of doubt will be Hassan Ali. Hassan Ali didn't really perform very well
Right.
in the first test. I can understand he's come back to the international arena after a long, long time.
Right.
But the thing is, the number of players behind him, particularly Haris, I mean, they're just waiting for a, a chance to play Test cricket.
Right.
So I think the only change I can see is probably another fast bowler coming in for Hassan Ali. But other than that, if we do drop Yasir Shah because of the pace in the wicket,
Right.
that will be a disaster of a decision. Because Yasir in the fourth innings on a bouncy pitch with a variable bounce with his leg spin
Right.
is an absolute match winner for Pakistan.
Right. So, okay, so you're basically suggesting that, we seriously need to consider the idea of Yasir Shah being on board, and if he's not on board, it can definitely be a disaster. Speaking of disasters, let's talk about recently what happened to Mohammad Hafiz. Mohammad Hafiz right now is obviously out of country, and he's been, practicing and playing cricket, and obviously with an official notification from the PCB when he was going for this entire thing. But now it's more on the controversial side with regards to him not being on board. How much impact would that do to the team? Because obviously we've seen him perform, we've seen his performance lately. He's been putting in his best. So, it's a situation that can be disastrous for us. So how do you see that?
I mean, it's a very, very poor thing that has happened to Pakistan. It's absolutely unbelievable. I mean, if you listen to what Hafiz Bhai has to say, it's a totally different story. But you listen to PCB, it's a totally different story.
Right.
Having said that, we're playing in Pakistan. It's like a South African C team, which is their T20 squad is not very, very mature or internationally experienced.
Right.
In a way, it opens the door for a new young person to come in and make their mark. Because at some stage, Mohammad Hafiz, after his glittering career, brilliant player for Pakistan, brilliant server of Pakistan cricket. But he has to retire at some stage. We can't keep relying on Hafiz to play in the next T20 World Cup and then the next T20 World Cup.
Right.
So it might be a blessing in disguise that we get a new young player who comes in and makes his mark in T20 cricket for Pakistan.
Right.
Still, a very, very sad situation. Absolutely a farce from PCB's perspective.
Right. For instance, just making an assumption, for instance, but as you said, my question is going to be very tricky. For instance, if this were Babar Azam, obviously the stats and the situation and everything would have changed with regards to how PCB manages the decision that was taken. How do you see that?
So, I mean, I can tell you a story. We were playing against Bangladesh in Pakistan.
Right.
And in that series, in that home series, Rashid Latif was the captain of Pakistan cricket.
Right.
In the test matches, Rashid Bhai dropped a ball and appealed for a catch. That was caught on the camera.
Right.
So Rashid Bhai was given suspension for 5 one-day internationals, which were next after the test against Bangladesh. So Yusuf Yohanna at the time, Mohammad Yusuf, he was the vice captain. So he automatically would have been the captain for the one-day series.
Right.
And the next thing we know that everything is ripped apart, and Inzamam Inzi Bhai ended up being the captain of Pakistan cricket team, and then he stayed captain for a very long time.
Right.
So in Pakistan Cricket Board, there are some favorites and there are some people that they have problems with.
Right.
Babar Azam at the moment is the favorite most cricketer in Pakistan Cricket Board. He's the captain of Pakistan cricket team, and he's the most favorite cricketer of Pakistan.
Right.
Obviously, if you kick Babar out of the team, yourself, myself, everybody will be up in arms. There will be an absolute uproar in the country.
Right.
And then the people in PCB will be losing their jobs.
Right.
So they're very clever people. They're going to do something that can cost them major situation.
Right.
I think they thought that Hafiz was a soft target and they went for it.
And knowingly, from what I've heard so far, knowingly, the PCB actually had signed a document that, Mohammad Hafiz is going out of country to play cricket and stuff. But there are so many hiccups that have happened so far with regards to, even if we go back to, let's go on to the first test that happened. Let's talk about performance. Let's talk about Fawad Alam. How he managed to, bring himself to the limelight, made sure that, we get that victory. It was a very questionable moment for, those who are on board, who are like the ones that are the kingmakers back then. And, he never got a chance. He got his chance after 10 years. Whose decision or whose fault was it then?
There's a lot of factors that are at place. I mean, first thing first up, the coaching staff and the selection staff, they at times see a new player
Right.
and they think that he's got a lot of talent,
Right.
right? I mean, you can say the same things about someone like Hassan Ali. Hassan Ali won us the Champions Trophy. You remember that? He was absolutely brilliant in that series.
Right.
And people were like a rebirth of Imran Khan. And now Hassan Ali is nowhere near the team.
Right.
Fawad Alam is an absolute superstar. I mean, I'm so happy for him. You just no idea how happy I am for him.
Right.
I went to play, we do this indoor cricket practice because it's snowing in England at the moment. So we do
Right.
indoor cricket practice. And there was a group of little children and they were all trying to stand like Fawad and take his stance, which is different from the rest of the world.
Right.
Yeah, and then they asked me, they were like, "Oh, you from Pakistan? Can you teach us how to bat like that guy who stands up like that,
Right.
Mr. Alam?"
Right.
So he's an absolute superstar. His mustache, his celebrations, his stance, and
Right.
I'm really happy for him. I really wanted him to score big runs, and he's really proving a point that
Right.
he should have been in Pakistan team years ago, and that's 10 years wasted by the politics of Pakistan cricket.
Unfortunately, that's the irony when it comes to such situations. And I think for the politics part, I think it's pretty much in all sorts of boards, whether be it BCCI or any even from South African board. You know, a lot of cricket boards, they have this situation. But us as a team, we need a consistent batch of youngsters and the seniors that we can actually blend and make that right team. If we go political, it obviously impacts the team, if I'm not wrong.
It's absolutely true, and the two of the better cricket teams around the world at the moment, Australia and England, they rely very highly on the statistics, the scientific, the statistical analysis, and based on that, you can't really argue about the selection of the players.
True.
And with Mohammad Wasim coming into selection committee, Mohammad Wasim using those statistics and science to pick up
Right.
players,
Right.
I think that is the way forward because that just takes politics out of the game,
Interesting.
and then you just pick purely on merit, whatever you have in front of you.
Right.
So now the Pakistan Cup happened and Hamad Azam was the player of the tournament.
Right.
So I'm hoping that his numbers are good enough for Mohammad Wasim to give him a chance as well. Because I've always thought that Hamad Azam could be a cricketer of the future.
All right. So,
So,
what we'll do is
I
we'll take a
think
quick break. We'll
Wasim
take
is
a quick
going the
break
right
so that we can continue this discussion which we're having right now. So see you guys after the break. And welcome back from the break. And before the break, we were definitely discussing Pakistan versus South Africa. Yes, the second test that is upcoming, and everybody's excited for it, and they're practicing for the current moment. And we still have with us Dr. Asjad all the way from the UK. So, sir, I would like to still continue our conversation with regards to the selection part, and specifically as we were discussing how Fawad Alam managed to bring his journey back, because obviously he did a press conference after that and he obviously thanked the entire team. But like you said, there are issues. For instance, you were talking about Hassan Ali, how Hassan Ali was on spot back then, and then he manages to disappear and there was nothing taken. So who is the key individual? Like Mohammad Wasim is definitely taking some serious positive decisions as the man behind that entire situation. That obviously when we talk about the entity itself, it's more of a political entity. So his decision making from how Mohammad Wasim has decided and taken charge with regards to PCB, how do you see that impacting not only him but PCB itself as an organization?
So Wasim is a brilliant person. He's a very decent individual, and he's
Right.
doing the things the right way, and he's using the science and statistics to bring those players in. Having said that, if you look at the success of Pakistan cricket in the past, Pakistan cricket has always been successful when they've had a very strong captain.
Right.
When Imran Khan decided everything for the team, Imran Khan always used to say to me, I've sat with him too many times talking about cricket.
Right.
And Imran, now he's the prime minister, but he always used to say that just the person who's going to go and fight on the pitch,
Right.
that captain should be able to pick his team because he should know that these guys are going to fight for him.
Right.
Slightly different from football where manager is more important. Then we had a very successful captain in Misbah. Misbah was be all end all.
Right.
And Misbah's decision making decided the matches in Pakistan's favor. Babar is a very, very strong captain at the moment because Babar is the best cricketer we have. I
Right.
think we haven't had a batsman like Babar since Inzi Bhai probably.
True.
So I think the major decisions have to come from Babar Azam. I know he's not that experienced, but he should go in with those 10 players with him on the pitch that he actually has faith in. So the more Babar is involved in this decision making, like India did, India just left all the decision making to MS Dhoni,
Right.
and the rest is history. It's an absolute success story.
Right.
So I think Babar should be more and more involved in which team to be selected, which guys to be picked, how does he want to play, what his strategy is going to be on the pitch,
Right.
and that will bring us success. But I still feel that Mohammad Wasim is a very good opponent.
Right. So you're looking at the entire idea of, when he's taking charge as the chief selector, the managerial perspectives and the vision of the Pakistan cricket team will be in line. Anyways, we'll talk more about, let's talk about the batting side that we did on the first day, I remember, which was slightly, and the unimpressive part, because coming down on the first day, knocking South Africa at 220, and then coming on board and leaving that day on 33 for 4. How can we still manage to have that top order be the right kind of batsman that we need?
So I mean, Imran Butt looked very nice.
Right.
I hope he doesn't turn into another Imran Farhat, who looks very nice but doesn't go on and make big scores.
Right.
So he's got the talent. I don't see why we should drop Imran Butt. I think he deserves another chance. Dropping a guy after one test is ludicrous.
Right.
I think Abid Ali's situation is a bit tight because he hasn't scored for a bit now.
Right.
He needs to come up with a test 100, and he's playing in his own country, and he's got the backing of the team and the captain. So I'm really hoping that Abid goes ahead and scores. Azhar Ali played well. I think it was a good innings. And then Rizwan played. He was trying to score very quickly. The other person who didn't perform very well in the test was Babar Azam. But I mean, Babar Azam is a world-class player, one of the top 4 or 5 batsmen in the world. So he has to stay in.
Right. So you're basically saying that we still need to have Imran. We still are hopeful for Abid Ali's performance lately has probably brought him to maybe a fixed situation for now, and let's see how that goes by. How do you see the second test evolving for both the teams?
If Yasir Shah plays, Pakistan will be very dominant in that.
Right.
I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring game.
Right.
I don't know if the pitch in Rawalpindi has changed. We haven't had test cricket in Pakistan for such a long time.
Right.
But when I used to play, it was a bit of a pacey wicket. So if it's a pacey wicket, it'll help the South African fast bowlers. Well, probably be the most helpful to Yasir Shah.
Right.
And I'm really hoping to see another test 100 from Babar. So
All
I think Pakistan will win.
Yes, we're definitely. But for instance, if we have the same batting situation that happens, because that kind of brings down the morale of the team itself as well when your top order is not performing, and then the middle order actually has more responsibility on their shoulders.
It does happen, but you also have to understand that our top order, performing or not, but they're facing the new ball from Kagiso Rabada,
Right.
who's probably one of the finest fast bowlers at the moment in the Test cricket. So any top order would struggle against him. You're talking about a debutant in Imran Butt, but he looked good. He had one or two very, very good shots in the Karachi Test.
Right.
So I hope that he can go ahead and make a 50 or something to give him confidence.
Right.
The person who really needs to score now is Abid Ali. I mean, it's just becoming too many innings without a major contribution.
Right. Anyways, we'll hope for the best. Thank you for the wisdom with regards to cricket. Dr. Aziz, I'd want to switch over to the football side and to the world of football, because you have a lot of experience with regards to the football, and obviously you're one of the doctors from one of the clubs as well. So with regards to the current standings and the current situation in football, let's talk about this current situation of Southampton basically asking Minamino from Liverpool for loan. Let's start with that. And then we can... Yes.
That was a massive surprise. Yeah, that was a massive surprise. Nobody saw that coming.
Right.
Liverpool, we didn't think Liverpool wanted to sell Minamino.
Right.
I think they had very high hopes for it.
Right.
But he's just gone on to the loan for 6 months, so he can get some time to play in Southampton, which is a very good team at the moment.
Right.
So we'll see how this situation develops, but nobody saw that coming yesterday. We were all looking at the deadline day,
Right.
and that was the major surprise.
Right. So with regards to, but it's going to be a 6-month deal, right?
Yeah. I mean, at the moment it is. At times what happens is you send a player out at loan and he likes the club and he likes the team and the management more, and he buys into the manager's philosophy, and you can make it permanent. With regards to Minamino, it looks very, very difficult that he'll be made permanent.
Right.
Minamino's problem is that he is one of the finest Asian players in Premier League, but uh, Liverpool bought Diego Jota, and Jota started playing a lot better at the age of 18, 19 than Minamino, and then Minamino couldn't make his way into the team.
Right.
So if Jota comes back from injury and is equally good as he was prior to the injury,
Right.
then Minamino might find it really hard to play any football at Liverpool, and he'll be looking at his next club.
Right.
And Southampton is a fantastic club and a better city to live in than Liverpool. So
Right.
he might want to stay there. The weather is good and the town is good. So
Right. And let's switch over to Chelsea. Let's switch over to the switch over of the manager side. Thomas Tuchel actually joined in and Chelsea managed to score like 2-0 in the last match that they did. How do you see this change of management, this change of coach, and making that progress that was actually needed for Chelsea?
I think this is what happens when you have a COVID pandemic and you don't have any supporters in football. If the supporters were there,
right.
Frank Lampard is the legend in
Right.
Chelsea Football Club.
Absolutely.
One of the nicest guys in football I've ever met in my life. He's such a humble and polite guy.
Right.
Chelsea fans love him, and if they were in the stadium, they would have shown their support, and Lampard might have got a bit more time. From an owner's perspective, if you're given £200 million to spend and your team is 9th in the table or 8th in the table, that's not acceptable.
Right.
Chelsea has had a lot of success in the last 10 years based on the fact that they even sacked their successful managers. So the standards are very, very high.
Right.
Coming to Thomas Tuchel hasn't really done anything at PSG. He hasn't really done much in Bundesliga. His recent results were not very good.
Right.
But then having said that, there was nobody else of note that was available.
Right.
So I expect him to take Chelsea into the top 4 of Premier League. Maybe not this season, but next season.
Right.
But I don't see him winning the Premier League or winning the Champions League with this Chelsea team.
All right. And let's talk about the third news about the leak that happened from the magazine El Mundo, and the contract that actually leaked. So how do you see that impacting? Because Lionel Messi's contract coming out is a big deal, and they're intending to sue. Barcelona's intending to sue them. How do you see that happening?
Yeah. So it shouldn't have been leaked. But I tell you something, Alamdar, I have seen a lot of football in my life. I have been around footballers.
Right.
I've played football. Football is something that I thought that I knew. Till I went to Barcelona and I went to Camp Nou and I saw Lionel Messi play.
Right.
And I've never seen anything like that in my life. That guy is superhuman. Right. He deserves every single penny that he's getting.
Right.
But obviously, Barcelona Football Club is under a lot of debt at the moment.
Right.
$1.1 trillion of debt they're facing at the moment. That's a huge debt.
Wow.
The whole club can collapse. Wow. And because Barcelona Football Club is not just a football club, it's a symbol of Catalonia's freedom as well and all that.
Right.
So the people in Barcelona are very passionate about their club, and they're a bit angry about the fact that when their club is collapsing financially, why has a guy been given 555 million euros over 5 years? Having said that, if you look at it in footballing terms, he deserves every single penny. Right. There is no better footballer than Lionel Messi on the ground.
Dr. Asad, thank you so very much for the wisdom with regards to football and cricket, and thank you for being on board. That would be for now with regards to cricket and football and your wisdom. We'll go over instantly to Australian Open. Yes, let's talk about Serena Williams actually winning the match over Gavrilova. So how this really happened was 6-1 and 6-4 win for her. That actually managed her to win. The 39-year-old is on spot. She's like one of the most solid players that you would have actually find in the current situation, and having a 6-1, 6-4 win is like the simplest of victory that she could actually take. That was pretty much from the world of Australian Open. Not to forget that it has been delaying for the fact that there's a COVID-19 situation going in and out there. But anyways, let's switch over to the next news, which will be from the world of golf. Yes, with regards to golf, Patrick Reed actually completes dominant 5-stroke victory on Sunday, which is a huge success for him. He's also had this success before, but obviously having this on a 5-stroke victory had never happened. And not to forget that Victor Hovland and Tony Finau actually were a 5-way tie for the second position at Tony Pines, which is definitely a moment of success for himself. But last but not the least, we've been noticing a lot of beautiful pictures of Gavadir Stadium. And yes, it is one of the most fascinating picture and one of the most fascinating stadium that we can actually see. I just thought we'll add this to our show. I hope you guys like it. It's all over Twitter. And it's so fascinating that, one day we'll be able to actually go visit this beautiful stadium in Gwadar, Pakistan. But anyways, guys, if you want to check out more, you can definitely reach out on our social media handles, and you can see more of the things that are happening at Indus News Sports. Till then, take good care of yourself, and bye-bye.